Calcharo! He's our favorite Virgil and Sephiroth love child, and also the coolest character in the entire game. If you disagree, I believe you're wrong based on principle alone. I have had the pleasure to play him for the last week and a half, and I can assure you, Calcharo has satisfied me to no end. But he still has his flaws. I'm just gonna go out and say it. No, he is not the best DPS. At least not yet. GN eclipses him for now. But unlike GN, Calcharo has a surprise tool that will help him later. So today, I'll be taking you through a deep dive of Calcharo's strengths, weaknesses, and why he may be topping the DPS chart in a very short while. To do this, I will be forced to take you through what the wonderful world of Calcharo's entire kit does, and I'm going to tell you exactly what Calcharo is good at. First off, I'm going to cover his basic attack. His basic attack is, well, basic, and it will not be used at all. You're not leveling this or using this. Cheers! What we will be using though is his resonance skill. Extermination Order is a 3-hit combo with what I like to affectionately call really long animations. I'm serious, why are you just standing there? They will generate your silly stacks, which stack up to 3 times. Convenient, a 3-hit combo that generates 3 stacks. These stacks are used for a special heavy attack that realistically does nothing for you if it weren't for his inherent skill that gave him ultimate damage. So yeah, skill 3 times then heavy attack. Then for his ultimate, he will assume the morbing mode position, which will enhance his normal attacks. Then one normal attack will generate 1 silly stack, which now stacks up to 5 times. And once you have done 5 normal attacks and you press the button again, you automatically cast your special heavy attack. It has a different name, being Death Messenger, but it's the same thing, aside from the fact that it does more damage and counts as ultimate damage. Wowee! After casting your ultimate, your next intro skill will have a sick animation. No need to go over his Forte Circuit, because that's just his special heavy attack. As for his inherent skills, it just gives him ultimate damage bonus and damage reduction when you cast a special heavy attack and ult special heavy attack respectively. His intro skill and outro skill are also quite simple, they just kinda do damage, nothing to say here. Since he is a standard 5-star character, I believe talking about his early sequences is fine. His S1 will give him 10 energy when you cast his skill, which is not a big increase. His best weapon gives energy regen, and his energy requirement is 25% at the highest, so not a big upgrade. His S2 will give him 30% skill damage when you cast his intro skill. Again, his skill is less than 20% of his damage output, so that makes his sequence, again, not great. So, Calcharo seems very similar to GN at first glance, right? Both are DPS characters that rely on their ultimates to enhance their basic attacks. So what makes them different? Well, obviously GN just does a lot more damage, but what I really want to focus on is the type of damage that they do. GN's damage counts as heavy attacks, while Calcharo's has no clue what he wants to be. 53% of his damage is ultimate, 16% is normal attack, 10% skill, while the rest is split between heavy attack, intro, outro, and echo damage. Conclusion is that Calcharo currently has very little focus on what he actually wants to do. I mean, it's very obviously ultimate damage, but it's not enough to where it's laser focused like GN with heavy attacks. This leads to Calcharo's support options being questionable. Genshin exists, but she's a slow sack of nothing that will take literally years to do her job. You could use Mortefi, but his damage output is not high enough, especially since Calcharo barely does heavy attack damage. Sanhua works too, but basically does 16% of Calcharo's damage, so again, not great. This leads to Calcharo being kinda held back by his teammates. One thing that Calcharo does have over GN is his capability for swap canceling. During Calcharo's Death Messenger or Mercy animation, you can swap out of Calcharo to do literally whatever you want. If you swap back into him right before the animation ends, it would be like nothing happened. And you just get free damage. I've personally been using this to weave in another Yang Yang skill to give me one of her stacks. This is a massive advantage that he can't take advantage of properly yet. Swap cancel teams can't take advantage of outro skill buffs either, except for Verena and Baiji. This does sort of fix its teammate issue, as the most important thing just becomes the character's damage output, but not a single sub DPS has the damage that Calcharo would need to catch up to GN. Let's get to another one of Calcharo's biggest issues, dodging. Enemies in this game are quite aggressive and everyone knows it, and Calcharo can't really dodge. His ultimate duration is very strict, allowing you to barely get free enhanced heavy attacks. Dodging can easily throw this off. But surely he gets a stack for a perfect dodge, right? Well, he doesn't. This is his biggest issue I have had when playing Calcharo, and I bet many others agree. In a game with enemies this aggressive, that is really bad. Especially when not dodging either leads to getting stunned or death. Calcharo has his issues, but he isn't all bad. His damage in a vacuum is good, so if he gets proper support, Calcharo will do very well. I'm talking like second best DPS in the game. Worse than GN, but still very good. He also has less energy issues than GN. GN can easily need 140% energy regen, which can be a whole ass main stat if you're unlucky, like I am. God help me. This makes Calcharo quite easy to build, especially with the standard banner Broadblade, which is funnily enough his best in slot. So let's recap. Calcharo is one of the best swap cancel abusers in the game, with a strong damage output in the vacuum. But he's lacking supports, and dodging has a big DPS loss on him. So ultimately what he needs is a team where he does not need to dodge much himself, and a teammate can abuse swap canceling. I know exactly who that is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Yinlin. Her outro skill may be incredibly strong, but she is even stronger when you abuse swap cancels. Damage per rotation in this game does not matter, so when you look at these two sheets, you just look at the DPS. Energy saving does not matter, so 1 rotating and 2 rotating, etc. is irrelevant. And you can see that Calcharo can finally beat GN. Sure, GN is much more of a hyper carry, with Calcharo being closer to a dual carry, but what do you expect? Yinlin has plenty of things to do during Calcharo's long animations. During the first heavy attack, she can double cast her skill. On the second, she'll be able to use her enhanced normal attacks. On the third, she can ult, and on the fourth, she can heavy attack. So that covers all 3 death messengers, and also a mercy. So that addresses his lack of a good teammate. But what about dodging? It's simple. Calcharo may suffer with dodges, but guess who doesn't? Yinlin. Yinlin is taking a bit less than half the field time, so whenever Yinlin is on field, you can dodge to your heart's content. And that is assuming you even need to. With all these animations Yinlin is performing, you may just be invincible like 30% of the time. Yinlin fixes most of Calcharo's problems while also skyrocketing his DPS. It's honestly incredible what one unit can do for him. But GN is so brain dead. Surely a small DPS difference won't fix the skill difference. If you look at this Calcharo team, it's quite skill reliant, but GN is incredibly brain dead. He just spams normal attacks and gets free parries, etc. Well, it's a trade-off you make. The Yinlin Calcharo team is a lot harder to perform than the GN team, but in turn requires less dodging. Memorizing your rotation will be the key to stomping enemies with his team. Well, what else does GN have in his favor? Alright, AoE. His dragon literally groups enemies. However, is it as big of a pro as it seems? The final part of Tower of Adversity is mainly focused on boss fights. Sure, there's like one wave of stragglers, but Calcharo Yinlin can deal with that in a different way. You can simply put Yang Yang or Jan Shan in the team. I recommend Yang Yang, she's a lot faster. While her grouping isn't stellar, it'll be enough to get you through the small enemy waves. Sure, you won't have any defense on your team, but let's be honest here. Calcharo Yinlin doesn't really need to worry too much about that. Just dodge the attacks you can see coming, and if something surprises you, you can take the hit. The second the boss spawns, everything is smooth sailing and predictable. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with Calcharo. I know he has problems, but every unit does. I'm just excited to see him compete with the big leagues once Yinlin comes out. That will be all from me. Peace.